Okay, over the last week, we have been reading a little bit about the rainforest, some informational text. I would like to share with you a picture book that goes along with learning about the rainforest. This is one of my favorite picture books. This is called The Great Kapok Tree. It is the tale of the Amazon rainforest. It's written by Lynn Sherry. So in my video, for the daily reading lesson, we went over what good readers do as far as questioning, and good readers ask themselves questions before they read, during reading, quite a few times, and afterwards. So before we read, I just want you to, if you had this in your hands right now, boys and girls, or if I was with you sharing this, we would do a little picture walkthrough. And just from that, there might be some questions. Ooh, I wonder if that snake is going to cause problems for the man. So these are your I wonders. Okay. What kind of frogs are those? Is the man ever going to wake up? Boy, he sure seems to be sleeping a lot. There seems to be a lot of animals. Oh my goodness. Okay. Looks like he's on the forest floor. I wonder if I'm going to see any more things in the canopy or in the understory. So thinking about all those connections too that we've learned about the 4 layers of the rainforest. So I just want to read this to you for enjoyment, but I want you to be thinking about how those good readers ask questions before, during, and after. So maybe while I'm reading, you're thinking about things that if we were together, you might raise your hand and ask a question, or I might pose a question to you. But for the sake of getting through this video in the amount of time that I have, I'm just going to read it to you. So enjoy. The Great Kapok Tree. 2 men walked into the rainforest. Moments before, the forest had been alive with the sounds of squawking birds and howling monkeys. Now all was quiet as the creatures watched the 2 men and wondered why they had come. The larger man stopped and pointed to the great Kapok Tree. Then he left. Do you see him down there? I'm going to show you the picture like this, and I will read. See if I can get this. There we go. The smaller man took the axe he carried and struck the trunk of the tree. Whack, whack, whack. The sounds of the blows rang through the forest. The wood of the tree was very hard. Chop, chop, chop. The man wiped off the sweat that ran down his face and neck. Whack, chop, whack, chop. Soon the man grew tired. He sat down to rest at the foot of the great Kapok Tree. Before he knew it, the heat and hum of the forest had lulled him to sleep. So what are you thinking right now, boys and girls? I'm feeling kind of sad. See? Okay. A boa constrictor lived in the great Kapok Tree. He slithered down its trunk to where the man was sleeping. He looked at the gash the axe had made in the tree. Then the huge snake slid very close to the man and hissed in his ear. Senor, this tree is a tree of miracles. It is my home, where generations of my ancestors have lived. Do not chop it down. Oh, so he's talking to the man, he's not going to hurt him. A bee buzzed in the sleeping man's ear. Senor, my hive in this great Kapok tree. This is where I fly from tree to tree and flower to flower collecting pollen. In this way, I pollinate the trees and flowers throughout the rainforest. You see, all living things depend on one another. All these animals have a relationship to this tree. A troop of monkeys scampered down from the canopy of the Kapok tree. They chattered to the sleeping man. Senor, we have seen the ways of man. You chop down one tree, then come back for another and another. The roots of these great trees will wither and die, and there will be nothing left to hold the earth in place. When the heavy rains come, the soil will be washed away, and the forest will become a desert. So giving him a warning of the consequences. A toucan, a macaw, and a cock of the rock flew down from the canopy. Senor, squawked the toucan, you must not cut down this tree. We have flown over the rainforest and seen what happens once you begin to chop the trees. Many people settle on the land. They set fires to clear the underbrush, and soon the forest disappears. Where once there was life and beauty, only black and smoldering ruins remain. I'm wondering, can he hear them? He doesn't look like he can. So, do you see what the animals are doing, boys and girls? From their perspective, they're sharing with him what the consequence of cutting trees down in the rainforest has on their habitat and everything that lives there. A bright and small tree frog crawled along the edge of a leaf. In a squeaky voice, he piped in the man's ear. Senor, a ruined rainforest means ruined lives. Many ruined lives. You will leave many of us homeless if you chop down this great kapok tree. I'm feeling kind of sad right now. They're pleading with him. A jaguar had been sleeping along a branch in the middle of the tree, thinking about what layer of the rainforest that is. Because his spotted coat blended into the dappled light in the shadows of the understory, no one had noticed him. Now he leapt down and padded silently over to the sleeping man. He growled in his ear, Senor, the great kapok tree is home to many birds and animals. If you cut it down, where will I find my dinner? Are you asking yourself, what does that mean? Where will he find his dinner? Sometimes the author isn't going to answer your questions. It's a good thinker. 4 tree porcupines swung down from a branch and whispered to the man, Senor, do you know what we animals and humans need in order to live? Oxygen. And Senor, do you know what trees produce? Oxygen. If you cut down the forest, you will destroy that which gives us life. So they all have different reasons. He's still sleeping. Several anteaters climbed down the kapok tree with their young clinging to their backs. The unstriped anteater said to the sleeping man, Senor, you are chopping down this tree with no thought for the future. Surely you know what happens to tomorrow depends on what you do today. The big man tells you to chop down a beautiful tree. He does not think of his own children, who tomorrow must live in a world without trees. A 3-toed sloth had begun climbing down from the canopy when the men first appeared. Only now did she reach the ground. Plodding ever so slowly over to the sleeping man, she spoke in her deep, lazy voice. Senor, how much is beauty worth? Can you live without it? If you destroy the beauty of the rainforest, on what would you feast your eyes? A child from the Yanomamo tribe, who lived in the rainforest, knelt over the sleeping man. He murmured in his ear, Senor, when you awake, please look upon us with new eyes. New eyes? If we were in class, I would ask you, what do you think new eyes is? Turn and talk to somebody. What does that mean to you? What do you think the author is trying to tell you? The man awoke with a start. Before him stood the rainforest child, and all around him, staring, were the creatures who depended on the great kapok tree. What wondrous and rare animals they were. How would you be feeling if you were that man? The man looked about and saw the sun streaming through the canopy. Spots of bright light glowed like jewels amidst the dark green forest. Strange and beautiful plants seemed to dangle in the air, suspended from the great kapok tree. The man smelled the fragrant perfume of their flowers. He felt the steamy mist rising from the forest floor, but he heard no sound, for the creatures were strangely quiet. The man stood and picked up his axe. He swung back his arm as though to strike the tree. Suddenly he stopped. He turned and looked at the animals and the child. He hesitated, then he dropped the axe and walked out of the rainforest. And that is the great kapok tree. So thinking about questions, do you have any questions after we've read that? I know I have a lot. One of mine is, when this man goes back to his village, what kind of stories might he tell? So that was one of the questions I had. So that's the great kapok tree.